Oh man. So I just wanted to come on and talk about this potential war that we're going to find ourselves in. This complete violation of a lot of shit Trump has ever said. He started off by saying, well, I think in 2014 he sent out a tweet, right? It said, the Saudis have their own military. Why are we there? Blah, 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 blah. Why do we have our troops in the Middle East when Saudi Arabia has their own military, right? That was 2014. Fast forward, 5 years. Lo and behold, Iran, quote unquote, Yemen, maybe, Syria perhaps, send some drone strikes into Saudi Arabia, and voila, we have troops back in the Middle East in a different country. Now, supposedly, quote unquote, supposedly we're going to be, just there with some defense forces and a few troops, not, non-combat, blah, 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 blah. We've heard that before. It just seems like every leader since the Cold War ended, I mean, shit, every leader since World War II has had some sort of a war, right? We've been in this endless state of war. I mean, it goes from Southeast Asia to the Middle East to Eastern Europe. It's just insane, right? Going down to Nicaragua and South America. Why, right before an election cycle, almost like clockwork, we're going to a war. It seems like we're redoubling our efforts for war, or whatever the case may be. I really hope that's not what this comes to. I really sincerely hope that there's a peaceful resolution to this bullshit, because I believe the non-aggression principle. Basically, don't go out of your way to harm anybody for any reason. That would be great. I mean, but the problem is Saudi oil, right? We would love us some Saudi oil. My thing is, South America has oil, right? Europe has oil. Russia has oil. Why are we so dependent on Saudi oil? Issues with, Colombia, Venezuela, all that bullshit, but why is it that it is so damn sought after? Wouldn't it be cheaper to get it from South America? Cost efficient, less travel, wouldn't have to pay all those crazy tariffs and all the traveling across an ocean. It's got to be really expensive. Why Saudi oil? Why not Alaskan oil? Why not Canadian oil? I mean, if we're gonna stay on the fossil fuel for a while until we can find something that actually will replace it, or something like nuclear energy that we could invest in, why Saudi oil? Why do we continue to support a regime that, for one thing, is militant as all get out? They are Sharia law loving, they killed a journalist, or quote unquote killed a journalist, and we did nothing about that. They do all these things, all these really shady dealings where American businesses don't want to go over there, and then when they do, there's backlash, but our government will do it no problem. I think there's a lot of different factors at play here. I don't like it, and I don't want to be tinfoil hat guy. No, that's not me. I just don't understand. And if anybody, I mean, I could use the economics lecture. It's fine. Yes, go ahead. I can see it now. We have dealings with them. We need their oil. I get that. But why can we not use different oil from elsewhere? That's what I don't understand. Why does it have to be their oil? The Middle East is it's like a black hole, right? Where every decision, everything we do, we just get sucked further and further and further into that black hole of the Middle East. And it just seems like an obvious solution would be to be hands off, right? To back away slowly, to, you know, say we're your allies, but we're not going to fight your wars for you. You know, we can offer advice, assistance, and stuff like that, but we're not going to be there with troops on the ground. Okay, seems like a reasonable way to pull out of the Middle East to me, but I'm sure there's some flaws with that. I'm sure somebody will tell me in the comments down below. But it just seems like it'd be real beneficial to pull troops away, but if you want to keep the economic ties, keep the economic ties. If you want to deal with their oil and shit, then, you know, bring our troops home. Don't have our troops dying for other people's causes. Unless tinfoil hat time, all those causes are kind of, you know, wrapped together. Which they could be. I suppose they sincerely could be. There's so much intertwined in our political system that it's hard to not believe some of the conspiracies, obviously. It's hard to not believe in some vast network of, you know, people who are in power, want to stay in power. Every single, I don't know, everybody who comes in, every president who comes in, they'll talk about, you know, withdrawing or downsizing or whatever, but then they just get sucked right back into it, right? They get, you know, I don't know, they get indoctrinated, if they get, you know, facts or something. I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I don't have the answer, obviously. If I had the answer, you know, I would be president of the United States by now, but, well, I don't qualify, but I would be, you know, in some government position. I don't have the answer, so I know the answer is difficult, right? It's a very, very difficult thing to talk about, let alone put into action, because there's always a point and then there's a counterpoint, right? But at some point we have to weigh our risk, right? Is it better to keep this regime that, you know, commits human rights violations, you know, denigrates women, you know, Sharia law, all that good stuff? Is it better to keep them as an ally and financially and militarily in the Middle East, or is it better to just say, you know what, you guys kind of deal with your own shit? And I'm sure a lot of people are going to say, you know what, they're the best ally we can have right now. Who else are we going to call on? Iran? No. Iraq? No. Afghanistan? No. You know what I mean? Like, we can't count on those places because we're still there fighting their own people, so we can't count on them to take control of that area if they can't even take control of their government, or their own country, rather. So, I mean, the whole thing is twisted, right? It's very, it's a difficult thing to talk about. It's a difficult thing to express, but I just feel like more troops is never the answer, or rarely the answer. If somebody starts a war against us, then, you know, the thing we have to do is defend ourselves. You know, defending yourself is fine, but whenever you are the aggressor and you're actively taking troops and putting them into Saudi Arabia, that can be seen as an act of aggression. I mean, the drone strikes weren't against us, they were against them, but we have our troops there. So, you know, it violates the NAP. Obviously, Trump, you know, he came in saying make America great again, but he's trying to do these things with Saudi Arabia. I mean, who knows? I don't know anything. I'm just a guy on YouTube making a video. I don't know. I just wish we would back off. I wish we would let countries do their own thing. But I'm sure there are problems with that. I'm sure, you know, I haven't thought everything through. Obviously, I'm not a economist. I'm not a member of the government that's dealing with other members of the government and whatnot. So there's going to be issues, but I think what we're doing now is not working. We've been in a perpetual state of war for 18 years. We've been in a perpetual state of Cold War for like 70 years. I mean, we're always at odds with somebody. We're bombing them, attacking them, invading their country, dividing their country, something. We've always been at this state of war. And if we just stop that, and I'm not saying be isolationist, I'm saying be diplomatic, use your words, talk. If we could just stop, I think, that would be for the best. Obviously, save a lot of money, from, these needless, endless wars that have there's no end game, right? We heard that a lot during the Bush administration. What's the end game? Where's the end game? But there isn't one. And that's where the issue is. We don't have an end game. We don't have a solution. We're just going to be fighting there until we decide we're done fighting there, until somebody else decides we're done. I don't know. I wish we had the answers. I wish that the answers were easy, but they're not. These are very hard conversations to have. They're difficult, and they're worth it though. And that's the problem. I think a lot of people are too afraid to talk about the Middle East because there's so much going on between, 3 different religions and all these countries vying for territory. And I get it. It's difficult. It's very, very, very. At the same time, it's hard to live here in America too sometimes. So why don't we worry about our country first, and then we can worry about everybody else.